sticking and staying with us. And thank you for all those who came and laughed with me at Slightly Unhinged on Sunday. Had a good time. Congratulations on that show. It's growing and comedians got a place to work. You know, big up Dufton, big up Johnny Live, those persons who keep comedians working.
Indeed, indeed.
I know, I want to say, as I always say,
yes,
as you make your way through your Wednesday, remember, God without man is still God. But they say man without God, nothing.
Nada.
Zilch, nada. Vapor.
And remember this, the song don't name belong.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
As the rains continue, homes and businesses along Trafalgar Road remain at risk, highlighting the urgent need for resilient infrastructure and effective disaster management. Good evening and welcome to Lead Story. I'm Nika Lewis. To help us unpack the challenges and solutions, we are joined by Richard Mullings, president of the Incorporated Master Builders Association, and Julian Robinson, Member of Parliament for Southeast St. Andrew, as well as Dr. Chris Burgess, an expert. He is a civil engineer, actually, and an expert in infrastructure and disaster resilience. Later on, of course, we will have him, to my understanding, he'll be joining us by phone. So, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, good evening to you, and good evening to your viewers as well.
Indeed. Thank you so much. I'm hearing MP Robinson there. But ahead of this discussion that we're about to unpack, we had prepared a package. So let's have a look before we start the conversation.
Me no know. Me don't like to lay down. Remember me have high blood pressure. Me don't just like to lay down a little bit. Coming to sleep last night.
An emotional Nadine Thompson after being flooded out again. While many in Kingston slept peacefully during Saturday's heavy and extended rainfall, one Trafalgar Park resident was pushed from her home by floodwaters onto the streets. It's a second incident in as many days since heavy rains drenched the city over a week ago.
Last Friday, yes. And then last night again, they came and they cleaned up and stuff like that. And
they who came?
Both sides. The mayor came here. The MP came here, who is Julian Robinson. The councillor came here, who is Jesse Clark.
So, what exactly?
Opposition, who is Kevin Phillips. He came as well. Yes.
What exactly? They clean out in the house?
They clean out in the house. On my side, it wasn't professionally cleaner, but because the back, I have a 2-bedroom on the back that is rented out, and they did a professional wash back there, clean back there, but it was livable.
MP Julian Robinson, on another visit to the residence, shared he'd effected cleanup work there just a week ago and now has plans to do so again. He's also had a chance to identify the culprit.
We were around on the Bremer Avenue side to look at where the blockage is. I think we have identified where the blockage is, and we're going to be taking steps to clear the blockage so at least the water can flow, so that if you have heavy rains, you won't have the blockage and the flooding out again. That is the priority that we are trying to deal with right now, so that the resident is not affected again if we have another course of heavy rains.
But a tour of the mud-drenched house left Ms. Thompson pained, still counting her losses and the looped ordeal that sent her tenant and his children fleeing.
After the motor come out of the fridge gone, hot water mash up. Fridge mash up.
And this is when the first one or the yesterday?
No, this mash up Friday, I'm fix it. The man come, in charge, me have a receipt, 87,000 for fix back that and buy that and put back the fridge. It's gone again. Hot water, gone again. The pay for fix back the washing machine so I can wash, so I can save, gone again.
That's after her tenant alerted her sometime after 11 p.m. to the deluge Saturday, which she woke and stepped into. The gully nearby is still unable to handle the downpour. Her closest relatives are miles away in Manchester, but her duty demands her at a home she finds no safety in now. Nika Lewis, CVM News.
Well, lots to unpack as we've seen there, but we're up on a break. We'll be right back.
Ready to take flight. It's Aviation Expo 2025 in collaboration with the Airports Authority of Jamaica and the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority, the island's ultimate aviation showcase and family fun day. Join us Saturday, October 4 from 12 to 8 p.m. at Tinson Penn Aerodrome in Kingston with show host Ian I.T. Ellis. And guess what? It's free. Plus, the JCAA and JDF will be recruiting. Follow at Aviation Expo JA for updates.
It's time!
Welcome to High School Pitchside. We have another fascinating episode for you.
More matches, more big clashes.
Let's talk about some of the big rivalries coming up this week.
More of your favorite features.
And trust me, you won't fall asleep in this history class.
And of course, we always want to hear from you.
Hear from your alma mater's players and coaches in Team Talk.
You know we can't leave you out. So send us your messages on social media and watch us react on FanView.
And you know we love a good little debate, right, Gio?
We've got you covered all season long on High School Pitchside.
High School Pitchside, your ultimate guide to all things schoolboy football, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
Thanks so much for staying with us. This is Lead Story. I'm Nika Lewis. We're talking infrastructure resilience in times of disaster and disaster management. And my guests this evening are Richard Mullings, President of the Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica and Member of Parliament for Southeastern St. Andrew, Mr. Julian Robinson. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, Richard.
Indeed.
Thank you for having me. Good evening. Good evening, MP.
Well, I want to start with you, MP Robinson, because we've seen that story. That was one of your constituents, and you've been on the scene several times, it would seem. You've assisted in the process. Where is that situation at? What's causing the problem?
So, as of today, I was there again today. So, yesterday, we cleaned up the debris out of the home. The back wall, the back retaining wall had collapsed, so we cleared that out. We have started the work to clear the blockage in the gully, the drain, actually. And just for context, just to explain what this drain is. These drains are about 10 feet underground, which run under a number of apartments, townhouses, and businesses on the Braemar Avenue side. So a team started work yesterday, has continued today, which means people are physically going down into the drain to clear out the debris. Most of that has been done, and the work will continue tomorrow to ensure that there is total clearage of the items that have blocked it. But it's instructive to note that one of the items that has blocked it is a tree trunk, because this particular drain starts as a gully which runs across Lady Musgrave Road, which is an open gully. It then narrows into a drain, and so all the items which are coming from way upstream come into this drain. So there are all kinds of debris that have created the problem and caused the blockage, which affected not just this resident, but it affected businesses and residents on the Braemar Avenue side as well. So in terms of where we're at, I don't expect there to be any further flooding, based on the work that is being done to clear the drain. And there has to be a broader look at how we treat with drainage, because what is very clear is that the drainage is inadequate to deal with the kind of torrential rain that we experienced both on 2 Fridays ago and on Saturday night into Sunday morning.
Mr. Mullings, I want to bring you into the conversation because from a construction and engineering standpoint, what are some of the biggest weaknesses or challenges you're seeing in Jamaica's infrastructure when it comes to how it's able to withstand heavy rainfall?
Well, I'm very glad that one of your guests that you mentioned, you're going to have Dr. Burgess on as a consulting engineer, design engineer. I'm an engineer in construction. But what is obvious to not just engineers, to most people in Jamaica, is that the drainage system is not being updated, not being upgraded. We're not spending that much money to build, expand, revise the existing drainage network for what seems like maybe decades to do any serious investment. There's been a lot of talk about, for example, drainage on Marcus Garvey, but just a failure to implement any changes or upgrades of significance to the drainage system.
Well, MP Robinson, do you have anything to add to that? Because you are the parliamentarian, you're sitting at a position where you can see policies, for example, being brought and enforcement can be pushed at a certain level. Do you think that enforcement is what's lacking here?
I think it's a combination of factors. In this particular case, I don't think it's a lack of enforcement. I just think based on the volume of water that we had in a short period of time, the infrastructure can't manage it. We have the same issue on Chelsea Avenue with the rains as well, which caused severe flooding. It's just that the drains which were built maybe 50, 60 years ago can't deal with the level of water. And then you add to that there's been significant construction, certainly in areas in my constituency. So you're dealing with moving from open areas, single-family homes, to multi-story complexes. So the natural runoff of water that would be absorbed in the soil is no longer able to be absorbed because you have more concrete. If you have more concrete, that water is forced into the drains, and if the drains can't deal with the volume of water in the period of time, then you're going to get the result that we have. So there are multiplicity of issues. There are also issues about whether, people who built on top of the drains, whether there was diversion of the drains from their natural course. That's something that has to be examined to determine whether that is a factor here as well. But from what we have seen, we're dealing with the inadequacy of drains, plus the blockage would have been caused by a lot of debris that would be coming from way upstream in an open gully, which then feeds into a narrow drain. So when a tree trunk falls into a big open gully, it can flow through a gully. When that narrows into a 3-foot wide drain, concrete drain, it then causes that blockage. And that's part of the challenge that we have had.
So how do we address these factors and these significant challenges? Because Jamaica, as we've always stressed, is in a disaster zone. We are prone to flooding. We're going to likely experience earthquakes or tremors. We are going to have a bit of natural disaster happenings ever so often. So what are we not doing? Is it that we're not monitoring these drains and gullies efficiently, effectively?
I mean, obviously they would, and again, I just want to, context is important for the drain we're talking about.
Yes.
This is not an easy drain to clean because everything is underground, 10 feet underground, everything is covered, and you're going under buildings, you're going under driveways, etc. So it's not the standard cleaning that someone would do to a gully. It requires, individuals who, not just technically skilled, but who can maneuver underground for hours, taking that debris out. And in fact, one of the issues they've had is that they need to get some heavy equipment to deal with the tree trunk. They're going to have to get a Hilti or something like that to break down the tree trunk before they can take it out of the drain. But, substantive work has been done. Now, that deals with the short-term issue. The issue is how do you solve this problem going forward?
Yes.
And there has to be an investment in upgrading the drainage infrastructure, particularly in areas where, as I said, you're moving from having natural runoff, which is absorbed into the soil, to where there's been, construction taking place and it's just concrete. And so the water doesn't have the same places that can be absorbed. And as such, all the surface water which runs off the road ends up into these drains, and the drains are just inadequate to manage it.
All right. Well, we've heard from MP Robinson, and when we come back from this break, we'll want to hear a little more from the construction engineer, Mr. Mullings. So do stay with us. Lead Story continues in a moment.
Delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction. 'Cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music keeps on playing, and the people them I say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't fit it down. Shine your lights
Welcome back to Lead Story. We're talking infrastructure resilience in disaster management, and we are joined by MP Julian Robinson. He is the Member of Parliament for St. Andrews Southeastern, and we also have Dr. Chris Burgess. He is a civil engineer. He's joining the conversation now. And Mr. Richard Mullings, the president of the Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica. Gentlemen, before we went to the break, we heard from MP Robinson about the plight in his neck of the woods over in the Trafalgar area, mainly because that's where we started out the conversation, but not just there alone. Several sections of the country are faced with these challenges. So we join you now, Dr. Burgess, because we want to find out what are some of the pain points and vulnerabilities that require attention in our country in light of what we're faced with.
Good evening, Nika, and good evening to your guests. Some of the pain points. Well, a number of pain points were identified by the 2021 comprehensive plan. About 44 of them. To date, we have addressed somewhere between 4 and 5 of them nationally since 2011. So you can see that we haven't made as much progress as we probably should have made. But coupled to that, I think our vulnerability has gotten worse because 2017 and around that period, there was a revision to a lot of the development orders. And with, let's call it the building boom that we had in the corporate area, there's added pressures to drains that are undersized. What the studies in 2011 showed is that a lot of these drains were undersized by a factor of 2 to 6 and needed to be upgraded. You know, what was a 2-foot drain in a lot of instances needed to have been a 6-foot drain. And for example, what is down at Marcus Garvey needed to be 6 times larger, 7 times larger. So we have a lot of work to do. And with the added building pressure, we really should have led the building boom with some investment in drainage infrastructure. What happened in New Kingston is no surprise. If you look at a lot of the roads and crossroads, New Kingston, Barbican, there's an absence of critical drainage. So the vulnerabilities are essentially being baked in and built in with the housing, the building boom and development of roads without drainage.
I want to ask your colleague, Mr. Mullings, to join the conversation again because we've heard quite a bit just now from Dr. Burgess. Where do your members stand on these challenges and issues?
Hi, Nika. The reality is that if you read the article that Dr. Burgess had in the newspaper on the weekend, it's that this and with other infrastructure and other development issues relate strongly to failure in implementation. We have many good ideas, many plans that sit on shelves gathering dust. And we're running quite rapidly with superficial development, buildings and roads on the surface, but we fall behind with the critical infrastructure. And so we have the appearance of development, but we lack the integral features. So you see well-documented issues with sewage, failure of old sewage lines not being upgraded. So, there's a pattern here that you can see that we as a country, and the buck stops with the powers that be, the municipalities, the government. They have to make hard and tough decisions about either restraining development to match the infrastructure or just prioritizing the improvement, the upgrading of the infrastructure to match where we're going with development. And we have to make those decisions and get those things off the shelf and get them implemented.
The parliamentarian in the room, MP Robinson, what more can an MP who is going through this sort of challenge, seeing his constituents flooded morning, noon and night if it rains even just a little bit harder than the usual, what do you do in this situation? Who else do you go to? What else do you do?
We're trying to deal with the immediate problem so we don't have a recurrence, but the reality is that the longer term problem requires investment. As I said, Trafalgar Park was not the only area affected. Braemar was affected. People were flooded on Chelsea. The Summit Hotel was affected. There are always issues there. And it simply is, as I think you heard, that the drainage infrastructure is simply not fit for purpose for the kind of development that has taken place over many years. And the only long-term way to solve it, which will require a lot of resources, is to expand the drainage infrastructure. And I think the reason my constituency is affected probably more than others is that it probably has the greatest level of new development, both residential and commercial. And so as I said before, where water would have been absorbed into the natural soil, you don't have soil anymore because everywhere is being built on. And where you would have had, for example, a single dwelling house on, let's say, 3/4 acres of land, that now becomes a multi-story apartment complex with probably 50 or 100 people.
With many spin-offs.
Where does all of that water flow when you have heavy rains if you don't expand the drainage infrastructure?
And experts, I want to bring you back in, Dr. Burgess. Who does the buck stop with in this situation? We have these high-rise buildings. We're having implications, not just in the corporate area. It spans several parishes, several spaces. Who does that buck stop with? Where does it begin? Where does it end? Take us along the journey.
The technical oversight for drainage in the country stops with the National Works Agency. And to a little extent, the municipal corporations. But I would like to refine something that Richard said earlier, Nika. I don't want to slow down development. What I want is responsible development. I don't want paper development. I want real development. So, for example, when we're doing Barbican Road, a spot that has been known to flood from 2000, 2009, when we are dualizing and fixing up Barbican and East Kings House Road and spending tens of millions of dollars, it's only logical that you raise the road above the flood levels and that you fix the drain which goes with the road. You cannot be paving and putting in stoplights and painting lines in road, and the drainage on the road is no good. And it's the same thing which happened with Marcus Garvey. So we want responsible development, technical oversight by experts that are involved. We cannot outsource the fixing of our country, resolving the vulnerability of our country to foreigners or foreign contractors and turning our backs on them and not looking over their shoulders to make sure that the work is done properly. We have to be in the room. We have to guide the process. We have to check the designs that they're presenting. We have to go on site. We have to leave the air-conditioned offices, the lofty castles on Hagley Park Road and go on the site. We have to check the calculation. So buck stops to the NAA and needs technical oversight, independent technical oversight.
All right, final 30 seconds for Mr. IMAJ President. Mr. Mullings, your thoughts now.
Yeah, I'm glad that Chris responded, and especially in the way he did, but I'm just concerned that if he mentioned the NAA, but also he's a member of the Jamaica Institution of Engineers, so am I. If we, the technical persons in this country, don't speak up and don't make our voices heard, which Chris is very good at doing, but if the rest of us don't, we're gonna face probably the loss of life, significant, potentially, maybe even significant loss of life in such an event. And then I'm not sure how we will sleep at night, knowing that this required the input of engineers, the input of technical minds, and we sat on the sidelines and watched it happen.
All right, MP Robinson, final 30 seconds.
I would say it will require a lot of resources, but I think given the fact that we've had a number of these heavy rains which have caused flooding, it's something that I think has to be treated as a priority in terms of the government's overall capital budget. And we have to address it while we plan for the expansion of more townhouses, more commercial complexes. That drainage is a critical